Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. It's the end of a political era in Kogi State as APC governorship candidate Audu Abubakar is buried in his hometown. DSS continues to lay siege to the home of Sambo Dasuki. Benue State Shopee graduates protest unpaid salaries. And France intensifies airstrikes against Islamic State militants in Syria. All our top stories can be found on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. We urge you to please interact with the Eyewitness feature in the Channels TV app on the Android, iOS, and Windows platforms. If you have pictures or videos you love to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions. Here are some photos you sent into our Eyewitness platform. We begin with this one sent in from Iroko town in Lagos State. It shows a car trapped in flood on a bad road. Our Eyewitness reporter wants local and state authorities to help fix this road and ease the sufferings of the residents in the affected area. Next is this one showing a high-tension pole overgrown with weeds in Anyocha South Local Government area in Delta State. Our Eyewitness reporter wants relevant authorities to help clear the weeds to ensure the facility is properly maintained. And finally, we received this picture from Ilode community in Ile-Ife, Osun State. It shows motorists and commercial vehicles operators queuing up to buy petrol at a filling station. Our Eyewitness reporter wants the Department of Petroleum Resources to visit this community and stop cases of hoarding. Over 1,000 election monitors and observers were present at the Kogi State governorship election. The leader of the election situation room, who is also a lawyer, Mr. Clement Wankwo, was also on the ground throughout the poll and is now joining us from Abuja to give us an account of how the elections went. Good to have you join us, Mr. Wankwo. From the conduct of the general elections earlier in the year, this was an acid test for INEC. How did they perform?
It certainly was an acid test for INEC, and I would say that on the average they did really well, actually very well. Given all of the indices, given all of the issues that we had to tick off on, I think that INEC did very, very well. We did have to check arrival of INEC officials, what time they do arrive. There were slight delays, in some cases up to an hour, but really I think it went very well. The officials were there. We did not receive any complaints after about an hour of INEC officials not being in the different polling units across the entire state, except in a specific area where they were actually prevented by some violence from proceeding to. But I think they did quite well. We also did not receive complaints of materials not arriving with the officials and materials not been there. The card readers did function, but there were several complaints with the card readers, although INEC did have some contingency on ground to try to fix the problem. But there were cases of the card readers not functioning optimally, given that this was a prevalent problem during the general elections. We would say that INEC did quite well, actually, with the use of the card readers, and we can only hope and expect that the new leadership of INEC understands the importance of technology and how much this reduces the human interference with integrity of the electoral process and works to improve on this.
And if you're giving them pass mark talking about the card reader, but it would seem that as if every local government witnessed a case of overvoting, so where lie the effectiveness of the card reader in places where overvoting were recorded?
Well, there were some cases where when the card readers didn't function, this had to go through the integrity test of people being allowed to vote once their bona fide was confirmed, and this was ticked off. I'm not quite sure about the prevalence of overvoting that you mentioned. There was a specific area where the percentage of turnout was about 65%, which was unusually high, given that the situation across the state was that you didn't see a high turnout of voters, perhaps on the average between 25 to 30% of voter turnout. So if there was any cases of overvoting, it would really be insignificant.
Before the elections, we heard about stockpiling of arms, but there was no significant violence reported. How do you balance this with the report earlier before the election?
Well, there was a lot of apprehension about violence. A lot of us went to Kogi very concerned that there will be violence, given the reports that were out there. But again, we did interact with the security agencies, with the police before and even during the elections. And the police assured of their preparations. And I must really commend the police for the professional conduct of their men, in spite of the logistics challenges that were manifested in terms of the welfare of the police officers themselves. But I think that there was a lot of professionalism by the police. The police seemed ready, deployed across the state, and were present and on time during voting, and excepting again one specific local government area where there was a challenge with the police arriving on time. It seemed that the police were on ground across the state. I think that the appearance of the police, the presence of the soldiers, although we had some specific concern about the soldiers blocking access in and out of Kogi State, which is a major national transit state. This was really one of the sad parts of the election. But otherwise, we think that the security agencies function really well.
Before I let you off with the election declared inconclusive, what are the options before INEC?
Well, the Constitution indicates that where a person is elected or duly elected as governor and he's unable to assume that position for whatever reason, his deputy takes over. But this is not the case here. There was no declaration of a result. No person was duly elected, and the Constitution did not address a specific case where polls are inconclusive. So it would seem that given that INEC has indicated that it will conduct supplementary elections, but the candidate who is in the lead of the ticket for one of the major parties for the supplementary elections, given that he's not there, I think as a puzzle who the electorate is going to be voting for. My take on this is that INEC perhaps would need to conduct fresh elections. And this would really be sad given the enormous resources that has been devoted to this election, not just by the Nigerian government and INEC and all of the agencies, but also by us observers who have been part of this electoral process.
Clement Wangwa, thank you for speaking with us on the news at 10.
Thank you.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, has again failed to appear before a federal high court sitting in Abuja to explain why the order of the court granting bail to the former National Security Advisor, Colonel Dasuki, is being flouted. At the resumed hearing of the suit, the federal government opposed the application for the enforcement of fundamental human rights filed by the former National Security Advisor on the ground that he needs to be present in court to seek any relief. The prosecutor, Mr. Mohammed Jiri, also informed the court that he has filed an application seeking to revoke the bail granted the former National Security Advisor, relying on Section 266 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. Lawyer to Colonel Dasuki, Mr. Joseph Daudu, disagreed with the prosecutor, insisting his client is not on trial. Justice Deni Ademola subsequently adjourned the suit to the 26th for ruling. The trial is expected to commence on the same day. The Department of State Service has filed an application before a magistrate's court sitting in Abuja. They are seeking to withdraw the case of criminal conspiracy and criminal intimidation preferred against the leader of the independent people of Biafra, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu. At the resumed hearing of the case, the prosecutor told the court that the DSS have uncovered fresh facts against the accused person, who is also being tried for unlawfully belonging to an illegal society. He adds that the facts against the accused person require further investigation. Lawyer to the accused person, however, opposed the application on the ground that the DSS has refused to comply with the order of the court, granting the accused person bail since October the 19th. They further prayed the court to order the DSS to transfer the accused person to prison custody for easy access by his lawyers. Magistrate Shuaibu Usman, after listening to arguments for and against the application for discontinuance, adjourned the case to the 1st of December for ruling. Police officers in Makurdi, Benue State capital have clashed with Protestant Shopee workers in the state, leaving one person injured. The demonstrators staged a peaceful protest to the government house in the state capital to demand the payment of 11-month salary owed them. The protesters planned to meet with the governor, Samuel Otom, to press home their demand, but were informed that the governor was out of town.
These are aggrieved youth who claim they were engaged by the Benue State government under the graduate internship scheme of Shopee. Their grounds is in twofold: the failure of the state government to settle months of unpaid salaries and months of waiting to be absolved into the state civil service. This is what they get for asking for their rights. The police action comes after efforts to get them and their parents to leave was fruitless. One person was hurt in the process. Others gathered to help resuscitate him. Austin Edache led the group of protesters to the government house, where he restated their claim.
From January till now, we have not been paid, and the outgoing government has of us on the 7th of May 2015. And this incoming government came and they abandoned us. They didn't make any comment about the completion of our assumption and the payment of our arrears. And recently, the incoming government cancelled the Shopee and cancelled the Shopee without making any reference for our payment and consideration of our assumption.
After several attempts to get someone to address them, the protesters were told the governor and his aides were out of town. The unrelenting group took up camp outside the government house.
What we're fighting for today, number one, is our appointment letters. Number two is our salary arrears owed to the tune of 11 months. That is equal to, that is tantamount to 240-something thousand. That should be paid now. That one should be given to us raw. Yeah. If that one is not given to us, yeah, we are not going.
The Commissioner of Information, Mr. Ode Age, told our correspondent that the state will seek the assistance of the federal government in offsetting the salary arrears.
When the news at 10 returns, Koscharich launches its latest pickup Ranger assembled here in Nigeria. That's in a moment. Do stay with us.